Hey, welcome in, golfers. It's the Hot Golf Conversation, Hot Golf Podcast, episode 10, which is pretty exciting. We're 9 episodes in, so we're making the turn to episode 10. We'll play the back 9. Excited about it. Greetings and welcome to this somewhat pivotal, important episode. Hot Golf stands for Heart of Texas. That means our focus, as usual, here over the next hour will be about golf in Central Texas, our ongoing 19th hole golf chat covering the latest happenings in golf in the heart of Texas, around the great state and around Austin, Texas, and the world, of course. We'll talk some PGA Tour golf and the Waste Management Classic, the DP World Tour, and all of that. I am your number one T-Box host and host of Game Time each weekday morning from 6 to 10 on 102.7 ESPN here in Austin. Hail and play out of the venerable Onion Creek Club in South Austin. My playing partners this week and every week. One of them also plays out of Onion Creek, a lifelong golf fan and conversationalist, actually a caddy as a kid in the original Legends of Golf here at Onion Creek. Joins me each Wednesday morning on Game Time to talk golf and stories of the day. His day job is over at Callahan's General Store, the CEO and person in charge of the historic Callahan's General Store, nearly 50 years as an Austin legend, a staple. He is Charley Wilson. Charley Wilson will join us, of course. Also the third member of our group, provides plenty of distance off the tee, dry, quick wit. He in 3 decades on the ground here in Austin, Texas, and the Austin golf scene. He's a PGA Club professional, the head of golf operations for the City of Austin Golf. Welcome in Steve Hammond. Charlie, Steve, how we doing? Episode 10. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Glad to be here, and had a great week with great weekend with the Super Bowl. Although the game wasn't that good, it's always good to be around friends watching football on a Sunday.
Yeah, and also that golf tournament wasn't a bad golf tournament as it turned out. That tall, skinny kid who plays golf on skates somehow or another made it interesting on that final day. So cheers to old Scotty Scheffler. While he didn't make the playoff, he certainly was part of the equation at the end.
He certainly was. I mean, think about Scotty Scheffler, y'all. I mean, he's world number one. I did the math. I mean, he shot 73. That's his first above par round since last June that he signed a card for. And then his other 7 rounds so far through 2 starts, he's averaging 65 because he won the first event, and then he went 16 under par Friday, Saturday, Sunday to put himself 1 shot off the lead, 1 shot off the playoff. The other story from the Waste Management event, guys, was Chris Gotterup. This guy's already won twice. He's won 3 times in his last 4 starts. Hits the ball a ton off the tee like you, Steve, and OU guy Sooner, which is kind of cool to have him with Sooner and a Longhorn at the top of the leaderboard over and over again now.
So true.
The way that he was able to maintain what he had inside of that crowd the entire weekend, it's really impressive. And he's one of those that you're not really sure how to pronounce his name, but you're going to know pretty soon exactly how to pronounce it, because you're going to hear it quite a bit for the next few years.
Yeah, I kept saying this guy's not got her up; he's got her done. He's good.
Absolutely. Heck, and Matsuyama was awesome too all weekend, and he was just all over the place off the tee. But how many times did he get up and down? And then on 18, he couldn't get up and down and make a 4 to avoid the playoff and win that thing outright. But it feels like Hideki is poised for a great 2026 as well.
Well, Hideki's game is so sound and he's so long, it doesn't really matter where he's playing. He's just fundamentally correct, and his abilities of obviously winning the Masters, but the staying power that he's had on the PGA Tour over the last 10 years, he is a perfectionist whenever he's hitting from the fairway. You can always tell he leans in, leans out on a shot that lands 3 feet from the cup. He's just another phenomenal talent out there.
Yeah, he really is. And so now this week, as we'll get back to the local, Heart of Texas golf conversation here coming up, but we're 4 tournaments in to the 2026 PGA Tour season. And all 4 winners, guys, currently ranked in the top 5 in the world, with Scotty Scheffler, Justin Rose. Chris Gotterup has won twice. He's now number 5 in the world rankings with his red-hot run here. They've all hosted trophies so far. So now the schedule shifts to a run of signature events beginning this week at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Pebble Beach and Spyglass will welcome the top 80 players on the tour via the top 50 in last season's FedEx Cup standings, and then various qualifying mechanisms to get the other 30. And that means, guys, enter Rory McIlroy, who won this event a year ago on his way to a monster 2025. he'll make his tour debut. We saw him last year, guys, in this event at Pebble Beach, really showing that the strides he took with his approach play and the spin control and the wedges that led to that huge year last year, the Masters, of course. He's also, guys, joined by his Ryder Cup teammates, Tommy Fleetwood and Shane Lowry. So obviously $20 million on the line. This is a jam-packed field. This is a must-watch event this weekend out at heaven on earth at Pebble Beach and Spyglass for 4 rounds starting tomorrow.
Yeah, 80 players in the field. So I think first 2 rounds they're playing with Pro-Am partners as part of the old clam bake, Bing Crosby clam bake format. Always makes it interesting, and so beautiful and so scenic out there. It's just always. I hope they have great weather so that we get a chance to enjoy it on TV this weekend. And you're absolutely right. The field just couldn't be better. It's just got the right. It's the right time. It's got the right amount of players, and the field's in good shape. In so much as that, you've had a Justin Rose, you've had Scotty Scheffler, you've had Goddard. You've got something, and McIlroy's debut. There's just so many storylines brewing here to start this off. I think this is going to be a wonderful weekend. And
Steve Hammond, Scotty Scheffler with this field. How about Scotty Scheffler is 5-2 odds to win this thing. Rory McIlroy 13-1. It's again, it's Tommy Fleetwood's 26-1, as is Siwoo Kim and Xander Schauffele 27-1. It's again Scotty or the field, even with the best 80 players in the world really right now.
It's about command of the golf ball on that golf course. You're playing Oceanside. The wind's going to be blowing. You don't know exactly what it's going to be doing, but it's going to be blowing over 10, 15 miles an hour. So whoever has command of their golf ball and can control their shots, they're going to have a leg up. And Scotty Scheffler has proven over and over again that he is the one who has the most control over his distance and his ball flight.
And if either of you all played Pebble Beach, Charley, you had early years out in California. I don't know, where are we for our audience? Have we played either one of these public golf courses in Northern California?
Yeah, I've not played Pebble Beach, but I played Spyglass Hill and I played Spanish Bay, both in the same day. I was out there on business and got up real early on the front side of that trip and drove from San Francisco down to Monterey, and was able to walk on at the second tee time at Spanish Bay, right as the guy with the bagpipes was walking out there to get the day started. And there was this fog, the streams of fog just coming across. Oh, it was gorgeous. And so I walked that 18, and then as soon as I got off the course, I called to see if I could get over on Pebble, and they weren't going to be able to get me on until maybe 4:30 in the afternoon. And I was already done at Spanish Bay by before noon, but Spyglass could get me on at 12:30. And I raced over there, got on there, and I played 18 at Spyglass. Wow, that course is hard, and particularly from the back tees. Wow, I mean, it was everything I took to shoot what I shot there. I think I shot an even 80 that day, and I felt like that was an accomplishment, man. Oof. Great golf courses, wonderful spot in the world. It's just the Mecca. One day I'm going to get back to Pebble.
I haven't played either. And it doesn't really matter to me if I play them or not. Same thing with Bandon Dunes. I don't have a good win game. And I'm not going to go pay all that money to shoot a pair of 95s. Those are two that I don't care if I ever play.
A kid from Texas who doesn't have a good win game, right? I mean, what's that all about? You hit too high? Is that
yeah.
I hit the ball too high.
You'd figure it out, Steve-O. I'm confident you'd figure it out.
That's a man who knows his game. I love that. All right, so great weekend, and boy, this is going to be a lot of fun. And Scotty Scheffler 5-2, which is crazy, as good as this field is at Pebble Beach this weekend. He's off tomorrow with the partners. You said they'll play with a celebrity for the first 2 rounds, and they'll move over to Pebble with just the pros on the final 2 rounds into the weekend. That'll be a signature event, the first of a few here, February into March. Also, guys, real quick, and I know, Steve, you've been paying attention to a really cool story that we could have local ties come November, is Patrick Reed, who has left the LIV Tour and it's announced he's out of there. But, man, he's winning like crazy over on the DP World Tour, and it's somebody to watch because we could see him here in Austin potentially come November.
Absolutely. It is, 2 weeks ago, he announced that he wasn't going to play any more live golf. That was right after he won Dubai. Then he goes to Bahrain, ties for first, loses in a playoff. Then he went to Qatar this past weekend, and it was over with before they even put a peg in the ground on Sunday. I think his world golf ranking is 17 right now. He has exemption into the U.S. Open. He has exemption into the Open. Of course, he has Masters exemption. So he's going to play in all 4 majors this year. It seems like a long time now, but it's really not. He's eligible to come back to the PGA Tour on at the end of August of 26. What that means is he will have exemption to the PGA Tour for 27 because he's resigned his membership and has to earn his way back on. But they take the top 3 out of the DP World Tour to the PGA Tour if they want it. So what that means is he's probably a few more events and a few more high finishes, and he's already exempt onto the PGA Tour. But I fully anticipate him playing in the good that's going to be coming to Austin because he will have status back on the PGA Tour. And then he's a Texas kid, so it would be great to see him back here. The thing that we've been talking about is the PGA Tour may not want him. They wrote their welcome back rules, I think, with him in mind by eliminating him and Phil Mickelson and Bubba Watson. But at the same time, even though they don't want him, I think he's good for the tour. As we were talking through messages that wrestling has villains, football has villains, basketball has villains. Villains are good for your sport. A lot of people watch Golden State Warrior basketball to see what Draymond Green's going to do, or watch Sports Center highlights to see how Grayson Allen behaved tonight. I think he's good for eyeballs, and people want to see it. They hope he gets into a spat with his playing partner, or his caddy, or the crowd, or whatever. I think he's good for the game ultimately, no matter how unlikable he is.
Yeah, he's got a good. It's not so good, but it's that villain, that dastardly persona that allows people to kind of, okay, I'll root for everybody, where everyone is rooting for Scottie Scheffler and he's so separate from the field. Everyone's rooting against Patrick Reed and he's so separate from the field. So it'll be interesting to see that antithesis setup out there on the tour when those two, are back in the same tournament together, back in the same game together. I think I agree with you, Steve. It's good for what you're trying to create as far as interest and drama in golf. He's playing really good golf, and DP Tour, whatever it might be, that's a darn good tour, and he's beating some darn good players out there, and they come out of the chute over there to establish their world golf points, and also to see if maybe at some point soon they can get a Battlefield existence back over under the regular tour. So hey, more power to him, and if he's playing good golf, my goodness, yeah. I can't see why the PGA Tour wouldn't want the best golfers on their tour.
He's coming back and he'll be fine. And the talent level on the DP World Tour, obviously it's good because over half of the Ryder Cup are DP players, and they come beat the piss out of us every 2 years, or welcome us in their house and beat the piss out of us. So they're obviously good players. So I think that he might pin his ears back and just win 5 or 6 times on the DP Tour this year. The guy is that good. His highest golf ranking has only been 6, and I don't know why it's been that low, but I just really think that he is a generational talent. He's just tough to like.
Well, but I think your point about the villains is good. We talked last week on our 9th episode, wrapping up our front 9 with Haas Uresti, and he was talking about, we talked about the lack of characters in the game, right? It's all these robotic, juniors that are so talented. It's good to have characters, and it's good to have, good and bad, and the dark side, the villainous guy, as you said, Charlie.
Oh, Steve, we got a pause on Aaron, didn't we?
Yeah, we got a freeze on Aaron there. There you go.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that.
Aaron, we lost
still good, though? We still recording? All good?
Yeah, we lost you for a second. But you're talking about with Rusty and having that cast of characters out there that maybe less than likable. You know, and
Yeah.
just to jump in while you regain your thoughts, there was a caddy survey that Sports Illustrated used to do every year. I don't know if y'all remember, but who is your favorite person to play with? Who is your least favorite person to play with? And this was all put out by the caddies. And, you know, it might be the slowest guy, or it might be Bubba Watson, but they asked that question for a reason. People want to know.
Yep.
No question about it. And speaking of Rusty, or Rusty Hoss, as he likes to go by, it is our 9th episode, or into our 10th episode, so we are playing the turn here. And guys, you know, looking back on our first 9 episodes, and if you've missed them, maybe you're finding the podcast and you saw, you know, Rusty last episode last week, and we've talked to his brother Omar, Wes Short from the professional side, a Champions Tour player here from Central Texas, Robbie Ormond, who was a pro and just a great story, TCU golfer, Austin, you know, local junior legend. Jordan Uplegger was with us from the PGA Tour event side, and they're bringing the Good Championship in November that Patrick Reed may be at. We'll see. Also, John Sosa, who's coaching the elite juniors in our area in the 512. John Cochran from the Texas Golf Association. We talked construction with Lonnie Alexander from Onion Creek, who I call him the professor of golf because he's teaching class down at Texas State on golf. Now, when you guys reflect back on our first 9 episodes, we've had some really interesting conversations. What has stood out to you? Hopefully everybody go back and see Rusty from last week. It reminds me of, he's like a walking tin cup, right? He's Cheech Marin from Tin Cup, with the stories and the personality and just delivering, and the stories between he and his brother and his family, I just think are great. But we've had some really, really fun conversations in our first 9 episodes as we record number 10 right now.
I really enjoyed listening to Rusty and Omar. And the story that really jumped out at me, my favorite one, was Omar and Rusty both told it, how they teed off in a practice round in the smog at Torrey Pines, and Omar laces one up to the number 1 green, and somebody shouts back, "Hey man, we're up here." And it just happens to be Tiger and Fluff, that they just hit the ball into in the smog, and got to play the rest of the round with Tiger that day. I just think that I had never heard that story before, and it's just a really good one.
Yeah, I agree. That gets a chuckle. And what was nice is about that story is hearing both sides of it, and it came together pretty well. I think we also got a little bit of a listen as to kind of what happened on the each of their points of view on the Tiger Woods hole in one at number 16 at Scottsdale, TPC Scottsdale. I thought that was rather genius in how we managed to pull that from both of them. And then I will say, among the many good stories that we've heard and shared so far, I think one of the funniest ones I got a kick out of was Steve-O telling on Robbie Ormond when Robbie was trying to pay for a green fee at Kaiser one day, and they were trying to convince him that, well, no, maybe you should be playing Jimmy Clay. And do you have that? Because the green fees were higher at Kaiser, and Robbie Ormond's reaching in his back pocket, just slapping down $100 bill and saying, "I got it." As a little 9-10-year-old kid, I think that might have just made me laugh the hardest of all, because if you've ever been around Robbie, he always does got it. Whatever it is, it's it. He's got the kind of the it. I ran into Robbie the other day out at the Onion Creek Grill, and it was they had their Friday Skins game. I didn't get to participate in it, but I got the recap, and Robbie and Lonnie were the only two still sitting there at the grill in the clubhouse. None of the other players were around, and something told me,
probably
guys
heard him.
Probably played pretty well today. And Lonnie goes, "Well, I thought I played good, but damn, Robbie over here shot 62 today." So yeah, I see why you're having a longer beer today, Robbie. So, these guys are really good, and they're our local guys, and it just makes you appreciate the great golf that's being played among a lot of people around here. The John Sosa kids, they're out there. They were out there up at the PGA golf, the national golf course up in Frisco, and playing two-person scrambles, and they're 10 under a day on a two, as kids, and granted they're playing a shorter course at age 11, 12 years old, but these kids' swings are just spot on perfect, and they got game, and they know how to get it in the hole fast, and they're learning that. This has been very enlightening to me to listen to you guys pull these stories out of these guys, as well as hear what they have to say. And I think I think we're on to something, guys. So way to go, 9 down. Let's keep going. Erin, what about you? What's been your favorite story so far that you heard?
So many, but I would also say just last week with Rusty talking about his, we know Omar. Omar can be a little bit surly and stubborn sometimes. He's got that's why I was ready for a screenplay on your Rusty family, because, Rusty talking about, giving the bag to his dad. And he said, "Dad, come on, come take it. I'm done. I'm done with this today on the 16th hole." And Dad had to finish the bag, the family Uresties, which I think is a great story, but just so many over our first 9. And I was really excited early on. I love the John Sosa thing and the juniors. Lonnie with the instruction, I think is great stuff. And Jordan Uplegger, Steve, with, bringing a PGA Tour event back to Austin in November, which, when you drop the piece of information that Patrick Reed could be there, that's really going to be the key to that being successful and getting off the ground. And, as we know, Austin, you guys know it from, you're on the ground level, Steve, in the Austin Municipal Golf. There's so much passion for the game. But will people come out there to Barton Creek in November and, watch these golfers and buy tickets and support it? A guy like Patrick Reed, some big names, former Longhorns that decide they want to come play in that and support Austin. I think that's going to be one of the bigger stories of 2026 for this podcast and conversation, is how that thing turns out. And hopefully the weather's good. But I think, we're excited to have that back. And I thought, Jordan Uplegger, and we'll get back with Jordan as we get updates and the people that are going to put this thing on, because it's still in its, infancy. But that's going to be huge in 2026, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Austin golfer will turn out for that. I went to all but one of the Dell match plays, and the amount of people that I knew there, just from being golfers in the Austin area and being around it, was just I knew somebody at every fairway stop that I went to, just because the professional golf is not at arm's length around Austin, Texas. We have to drive to Dallas or San Antonio to see it, once a year, twice a year, or even to Houston. It's not in our backyard. So whenever it does show up, we don't know how long it's going to be here. We turn out to see it. Maybe it was a bigger scale with the World Golf Championships, but there's going to be a strong field. I feel like there's going to be some great Texas golfers out there playing in the good, and it's going to be successful for a few years. And I hope that good can hang around.
And I'll say this to you, Steve. And one of the things I've always wanted to do with the radio show on ESPN 102.7 or at the previous place at the Horn, is, and you can speak to this, the characters of the game that hang out at Muni or, over at Mo Willie, they're just sitting outside waiting for tea time at 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning. We need to get some of those guys on the show because they've been coming for years and years and years. And over at Clay Kaiser, they're some of the funniest people. I mean, the characters of Austin golf, and hopefully those are the ones that we can reach and have a part of this podcast, because I just think you just listen to those guys waiting to tee off. There's some great stories being told and some trash being talked. I think that's the Austin golf scene. That's, to me, that's what there's country clubs and there's driftwoods and things, but man, I love what goes on in the Austin golf scene, and you get to see it every day on the municipal level.
That's another reason why and we talked to Scotty Sayers about Save Muni and the effort there. This is why it's so important to tune into and be connected with those efforts as well, because Lions Municipal is part of the DNA and fabric of those continuing stories that are told. Those guys and Steve, I think you probably, I don't know if you participate or not, but those guys go out there. I don't know if it's Christmas morning or Thanksgiving morning. They do a big putting tournament over there at the putting green at Lions, and it's and the kind of characters that you're talking about, Erin, are showing up over there, and they're telling war stories. And they got Scotty, they got Ben, they got Bill Core over there. They got everybody. They probably have Steve over there as well, and everybody's just kind of sharing stories and showing an appreciation for golf.
I watched it from start to finish this last year. It was the day after Christmas, and it's just the Muni legends. They call themselves the Muni Bulldogs. Been doing it every year for 15 years. They honor those who have passed. They do a two-person two-person low ball. It's basically aces, two-person aces match play. And it went on for 2.5 hours. It was fantastic.
Well, get out and then support Muni, savemuni.org. And Scotty Sayers was a great guest of ours, the longtime partner and business partner and friend of Ben Crenshaw. And those are the conversations we're going to continue to have here as we make the turn, 9 episodes in, and 9 more, and then way beyond that here on the Hot Golf Conversation with Charley and Steve and myself. Really excited about it. And I just love that whole. And one of these days, maybe we'll do a live episode from Jimmy Clay or something right at the driving range out there. We'll see how we figure that out as we grow this conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Steve, you were at a conference this week, right? That's talking about the heart of Texas and golf in the heart of Texas, and that's really what you're on. As we say, you're on the ground floor here. You're on the ground within Austin Golf. What did you learn this week?
We went to yesterday. We had our educational summit and annual meeting for the Southern Texas PGA. It wasn't an election year, but what we did is we had 200 PGA professionals get together at the West End in San Antonio, basically give a state of our organization. And as the Southern Texas as the Southern Texas PGA relates to the PGA, we found out some great information. One, we have our section has the strongest junior golf program in the country with 528 playing opportunities from juniors in the Southern Texas section.
Wow.
That's a bunch. We are the most financially sound foundation-wise in the amount of money that we give to scholarships. We give a little bit more than I think $250,000 a year for scholarships to local youth heading to college. I think my favorite part about it was up on the panel was our district area 12 director, Dale Morgan. So he represents Southern Texas, Northern Texas, and Sun Country section, which stretches out El Paso, New Mexico. So Dale and Mike Ray, who was the former executive director of the Southern Texas PGA, and Thomas Hutton, who is the executive director of the Southern Texas PGA. Dale basically sat up there and he sang a lot of praises, but he said, we could have done Ryder Cup a little bit different. And what happened is I think the PGA of America overbuilt the Ryder Cup. They over-engineered those grandstands to get it as big as they could. And once you get it too big, the PGA of America has realized that when it's that big, there's only so much control you can possibly have. Dale is the finest fine people that you'll find in the golf business. And he said, and I kind of feel like that the Ryder Cup loss was on my shoulders because I was the observer for the only match that the USA lost on Sunday. I thought that was interesting. But ultimately, the Ryder Cup is going to be better than ever whenever it heads back to Hazeltine. That's the last place we want it, and it'll be there in 29. And I really feel like we're going to be able to control the crowds better as an organization, hire better security, maybe shrink down the infrastructure just a little bit. So, the crowds aren't just sitting there right on top of you, shouting in your ear and having the opportunity to shout in your backswing and shout obscenities at whatever. But ultimately, it's a great meeting. We have not motivational speakers there, but keynote speakers, talk about different things we can do for productivity. And we had a little piece on AI, which was awesome yesterday, but it's just a wonderful opportunity for us golf professionals to get together, see each other that, we don't get to see each other, but once or twice or 3 times a year and all be in the same room and trade stories. It's a great meeting to go to. And I'm glad that I went yesterday.
Hey, Steve, I got a question for you. So when we do have the Ryder Cup at Hazeltine, just know that it is Minnesota and not New York. And so it probably will be a lot more. Don't you know that you maybe should hit the bad shot here? Yes. It'll be a little bit more polite there than Long Island.
I was at the Ryder Cup in 2016 at Hazeltine, and I really feel like the crowds were very well behaved. When the Europeans were at the microphone after the final round was over and they had a few things to say about our fans, I think that's because the ass whooping they just took more than anything else. But we put a hurting on them pretty good. But I thought our fans were pretty good to them. I was all over that golf course for five rounds, And it was a great 3 days. It's something that I'll never forget being a part of.
It's great stuff. And also great, Steve, to hear the success of the Austin. When you say the Southern Texas PGA, I mean, what does that include? How large is that? And for Austin in this area to be the strongest, that speaks volumes to the work you guys do and everybody on the ground is doing.
Our section goes from essentially Georgetown is our north line. Beaumont is going to be our east line. Sonora will be our west line. And then once you get to Sonora, you drop all the way down into Mexico. But like El Paso, Lajitas, those are in the Sun Country section, part of New Mexico. But we have a very large section. The second best section in the nation of the 41 sections is Dallas, and it's not close. The Northern Texas section. It's not close. How much better financially, how many playing opportunities. It's not even close to how much more we do than basically the rest of the sections in the country. And it's because of our leadership. It's because of our golf professionals offering up their golf courses for playing opportunities for juniors. And it's because we have great donors in Houston. We have great donors in Austin and even down south. So, the Southern Texas PGA Foundation, we're not just out there playing golf, giving away scholarships to rich kids. We're doing a lot of good stuff through PGA Reach and PGA Hope, and it's really cool to be a part of.
I would think the fourth leg to that stool, Steve, would be that we're also blessed with weather that allows us to play golf year round down here in this section of the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt. On that note, before we talk some technical golf things on our Hot Golf Podcast, episode 10, kind of a milestone episode for us here. 10, hopefully one day we get to 100 of these bad boys every week talking golf in the heart of Texas. Steve, the courses, how'd they come out of the freezes? Everybody good? And I know Onion Creek's looking great. You guys did right covering them up for 2 weekends, and folks had to shelter in and not play golf, but that's going to pay off dividends for the long haul, correct?
We may have been a little bit cautious. We're in really good shape everywhere. We're going to come out of the winter just as good as we did last year. It's going to be great. Just like anybody else, we're going to fight Poana problems. Poana is chemically resistant in this area. There's nothing that is greens grade that you can treat it with. So once you have it, you just kind of have it until you dig your greens out and start over again. We're going to have a little bit of that at a couple of our properties, but overall, man, we're pretty clean. We're pretty good, and it's a lot of fun to play our golf courses right now, and everybody's in really good shape. We're looking forward to finishing out the winter and getting on in the spring where we have longer daylight. You don't have to tee off at 2:00 so you can finish.
Yeah, that's right. The daylight savings spring forward coming up here in the month of March. Charley, from the Callahan's General Store side and the Farmer's Almanac, do you think we're done with freezes, or what do you think? There's another blast coming here almost into Valentine's Day?
I think we're heading into a pretty mild phase of spring, but the Farmer's Almanac says that there's one more outlying chance for a cold snap to come through. So we should keep our guard up. I will say that it's okay to probably put your pre-emergent down that will help you with any crabgrass and any dandelions, that kind of thing. And it's probably the same thing that the guys are doing out on the golf courses with Steve's crew. And, cover just keep the plastic in the garage, but you don't have to keep it in the flower beds anymore. So when that snap comes, if it does come, you can cover up the essentials and save them. We're going to, just from our business standpoint, we're going to start putting some plants out, some seedling plants out ready for people to buy to start, having your tomatoes and peppers. They're pretty hardy this time of year anyway. So it's getting to be that way, and you can feel the itch and see the people's itch, with respect to the driving ranges are full. I don't know, your places, Steve, you don't want to hit off grass. You don't want them tearing up the grass, so they're hitting off of mats. And I know that the same thing happened out here at Onion Creek. A lot of practice off the mats, but we're also starting to see some of these fitting dates out there. And we had an opportunity here at Onion Creek for, I think Titleist is coming through, and TaylorMade is coming through, and PFG is coming through. Anyway, a lot of these sheets to sign up to get fitted and see if they got a product that's good for you, filling up fast. Now, Steve, this is probably your world as well, because when these guys come along, the audience out there is just tremendous from the standpoint of who wants the newest and latest merchandise, or at least a 3-wood that works, if nothing else. So I'm fascinated by the whole fitting process, and I realize it comes down to manufacturing companies wanting to sell golf clubs, but and also golf balls or putters, whatever it might be. But Steve, in your your spans of being associated with these fittings, typically, how does the process work? And what is a good fitting, and what's a bad fitting for the average golfer out there?
I talk to a lot of people and about fittings, and the biggest question that we get asked is, should I get fit? And the answer is, yeah, you should get fit, because you're about to pay out the nose for that golf club, whatever you're buying. There's nothing that is cheap out there. There may be something.
It's an investment.
there may be something that's less expensive than the other, but nothing is cheap. But fittings have changed. We used to carry fitting carts in our golf shop with different heads, different shafts, and things like that. And you'd have an impact board and using tape and face tape and sole tape. Right now, everything is on TrackMan. The days of demo days, they're pretty much over, where you could have 5 or 6 individuals out there hitting your clubs at one time. Those days are pretty much over. What they have is they have dedicated fitting days, because the demand on golf clubs is so high right now. And so a group like TaylorMade or Titleist or Ping, they will come set up all of their gear, but it will be a schedule. You'll have an hour to sit with them. You may have to pay up front. You may have to pay $100 up front, depending on what the arrangement is with the golf course, and that payment might go towards the purchase of the clubs. But they're going to put you on a TrackMan, but they're going to start with your clubs, and they're going to try and see what the numbers are with your clubs, and then the next thing.
So can I interject just for a second? When you talk about the numbers that you're starting with your golf clubs, explain to the folks out there, what are they looking for with respect to speed and spin rate, club speed, spin rates, and ball speed? I guess those are the 3 most familiar data points.
Right. And so, you talk about paralysis by analysis. The numbers that a TrackMan will spit out is just bananas. It's attack angles, face angles, impact angles. The angle of attack and the angle of impact and your face angle at impact. But I think the things that we're trying to get out of it as a fitter, what you're looking for is you are looking for dispersion on where that shot lands. You're looking for ball speed. You're also looking for basically how efficient are you with that club. Smash factor is one of those arbitrary numbers that nobody can really describe, but it's the efficiency in which you're using the golf club is one of those things that's incredibly important. But if you think about a driver fitting, there's some things that go through my head when I go through a driver fitting. I want the ball to launch between 12 and 15 degrees. I want it to spin around 2,200 RPMs. Okay. And I want my ball speed to be 1.5 times my club speed. Those 3 things are really, really important to me. And those are 3 pretty easy metrics to hit. And we change those by shafting more than club face degrees. We change it by kick points on the shaft. I know a lot of guys that they swing a club that may be a little bit too stiff for them, and they get 0 driver spin off of it where that golf ball is knuckling. The problem is when that ball's offline, it's way offline. So that you want that ball to be spinning, but if you're in the 3,700 RPMs coming off the driver face, that ball's going to balloon on you in the wind. It's going to be great downwind, but in the wind, it's going to balloon on you. And so those are things that you're trying to assess when you're inside of that fitting, and you can correct those a lot of different ways. It's not a lesson, because I'm not going to give you a lesson during a fitting, sell you something, and then 6-8 weeks later, whenever you're hitting it like garbage and you have completely changed your swing, what we're going to do is we're going to fit the game that you came with. You want to get a lesson after that? We can do that. And probably golf clubs are modular nowadays. We can fix that later I think one of the most important things people are doing now is they're doing front end gapping. The hybrids, 4 irons, 5 irons, because the higher handicap player, they're going to hit a lot more 6 and 5 irons than the individual that hits it longer. Okay, so we have to make sure that front end gapping, the hybrid 4, 5 irons, those are good and sound, and that's where we're going to save the most strokes.
So we've seen a lot more players out on the golf courses these days with 7 woods and 9 woods as well, and that seems to be part of what you're talking about, that front end gapping. And they're, and in their bag, they're picking it up at 5 iron or 6 iron, maybe not even, maybe 6 iron or maybe 7 iron for that matter.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the last fitting that I went through, I've been playing essentially the same iron for a long time, but I couldn't get the ball speed off of my 4 iron, off of the set matched 4 iron. So I went with a different set 4 iron than what my set is. Then you have to be okay with it. You have to trust the process. Yeah. You have to trust the numbers. That's why that $25,000 computer is sitting behind you, because it's smarter than everybody else. Trust the numbers more than anything else.
Hey, Steve, go back to those 3 numbers that are key to you. And when you meet for your fitting, how do you assess what that number should be for you? Are they able to help you with that? Because your game very well. If somebody like me who's never done a fitting need to, for sure. But how do you find those numbers that, the spin rate and the club speed and the 1.5%, those everything? Repeat those for our audience, but then how do you go about discovering what you want that's maximum for you?
Well, those numbers are pretty standard fitting numbers. You're looking for 12 to 15 degrees off of the tee velocity, launch angle, 12 to 15 degrees launch angle off of the tee. The ball speed is very standard as well, because a maximum speed driver is going to be pushing out about 1.5 times of what your club head speed is. So easy math. If I'm swinging at 100 miles an hour, my ball speed needs to be 150 miles an hour. That's just easy math there, and nice round numbers. And then the spin rate, that's also an industry standard. You could be playing the wrong ball if your spin rate is too high. But your spin rate needs to be for a driver, needs to be between 2,000 and 2,500 RPM. You want it spinning, but you don't want it spinning too much. It sounds like a lot. It's not that much. But 12 to 15 degrees, 2,000 to 2,500. And the TrackMan is going to spit all that out just like this. It's crazy. That's what a fitting is going to get you.
So, Steve, when you get to, when you get to generally our ages, we tend to hold on to the technology that got us here. A fairly stiff shafted club, or something along that lines. I know 10 years ago when I got my current set of irons, I went and had them fitted, and the guy was saying, "Are you sure you want to play the shaft?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." I said, because this is the shot I'm hitting, and I need this shaft to have less kick, because I'm forcing myself to hit a left or right shot, and I want that hold back, and I need that stiffness. He says, I said, now at some point in time, I'm going to have to figure out, and over the course of time, when that's too stiff of a shaft for me. I felt like I've made all kinds of adjustments in time to it, but I'm faced right now with, I'm now 10 years past that, and here in my early 60s, and I should be probably backing off and getting into something a little softer on the kick, because I'm just not as strong as I used to be. It's just a fact. And this is, but the fitting will tell you that too, right?
Yes, the fitting will tell you that, and your launch angles off of your 7 and 6 iron that you're going to get fit off of, there are standards on that as well. You're telling a story that exactly happened to me. I was not happy because I'm a high ball hitter. I talked to my fitter and I said, "I'm a high ball hitter, man. I got to bring my launch angle down." And he's like, "Well, do you want to go into a 6.5?" And so I went into a 6.5. I hit a 6.5 shaft, a Project X 6.5, and I did it for 2 years. And I went back in for another fitting, and it's the same fitter. And I said, "We are not going back with the 6.5. I am tired of working that hard. I'm too old to be swinging an extra stiff 6.5. And every shot was just work because it was so stiff in order to get that club to set at the top. But I was trying to change my game, or I was trying to change the shaft to fit my game instead of changing my game before I ever showed up. I just wasn't swinging well whenever I went. So we make those kind of mistakes, and the fitter makes those kind of mistakes as well, saying, "Hey man, you sure you want to do this?" And you know, it was a bad move on my part to agree. I should know better than that. But I think the shafting, the offering of shafts and the stock offering of shafts, everybody has 5 to 7 stock offerings of iron shafts and driver shafts nowadays that you no longer have to get a $15 per club or a $200 driver upcharge because the stock offerings are so great. And these shaft manufacturers, they are willing to discount their shafts to sell to the club manufacturers in order to be part of their stock offering. So that, you know, with that being said, the price of clubs is so damn expensive. I should have a premium shaft anyway, for the price that we're getting charged. It's unbelievable, the price of clubs right now. Sorry to scare anybody off. It just is.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's your commitment to the game, and the investment.
And that's what I wanted to ask you, Steve, is the average golfer. I mean, I'm sure there's some low handicappers out there that watch the podcast, but you know, you're just on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is getting your current clubs or the clubs you're going to look at be fitted for them?
You have to have something that's within the last 8 to 10 years. You just have to. You're losing out. You know, if you're going to play golf once a year, fine. You can roll out with whatever you want, or you can go get a premium rental set from the golf shop. Because all golf shops nowadays, they're carrying a premium rental set.
Oh yeah, they are.
$50 or $75 or $100. But you have to upgrade your equipment whether you want to or not. But it's not the bag. You don't have to update the whole bag. I went through a wedge fitting that they were talking about guys on the PGA Tour. 60 degrees get replaced 4 times in a year. 52 degrees gets replaced 3 times in a year. Think about that. That there's a great video that Titleist does with it, a wedge with 100 rounds on it. They put it on a robot, and the amount of rollout was about 4 times than the rollout of a wedge that was straight out of the package. Titleist has that video. I can't remember where it is, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful explanation on groove decay is real. It's not just a selling technique. It greatly affects performance. You know, talk about fittings. I got a great story. It's kind of a name drop story, but I went to Bob Vokey school. It's Bob Vokey and Erin Dilk was at Spanish Oaks during the Dell match play. And we were all getting fitted for our brand new Vokey SM8 wedges or whatever. And Aaron Dill is fitting me. This guy fits everybody. Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas trusts Aaron Dill with his pocketbook. Aaron Dill fits all the dudes. And he asked me, he said, "You hit that one good?" I go, "Yeah." And then I had another one. He goes, "You hit that one good?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "No, you didn't." And I go, "How do you know?" And at that point in time, Bob Oakey looks over his shoulder and he goes, "Because our clubs aren't designed to sound that way." I was like, "Oh, I don't know anything. I don't know nothing about nothing."
Yeah. Well, I thought I hit it good.
Yeah.
That's great stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's important. I think as we get back out of the winter months and start playing more golf and getting back out on the golf courses of the 512, that fitting. And as you said, Charley, they're going to be all over. They're going to be setting up on driving ranges and set your appointment. Learn about your game. The TrackMan stuff. Well, as you said, the data is somewhat paralysis by analysis, but the important numbers you need to know and the clubs that you're playing. It'll make the game easier for you, more fun for you. Yeah. I'm going to
jump back in. You should be able to find a fitting on whatever club manufacturer you're interested in. Like Ping will have a list of their fitting days, and Titleist, and you could search by region, search by zip code, and whatever they have scheduled, it'll pop up. And if they're public, you can sign up for them. A lot of times in places like Onion Creek, they're private events, but there's public events all over the country. And this is
okay. And I did have one follow-up question to you, because just like with anything that the guys are trying to sell you some equipment. Steve, in as concise a way as possible before we end here, what kind of defines a good fitting and what defines a bad fitting, or the guy who's conducting the fitting in your experience?
I've been a fitter before, and I will give up on a guy who can't hit a repeatable shot. And we'll put him in a standard. if you can't hit a repeatable shot, I can't fit you for something. So we'll go stock and we'll go as forgiving as possible. But what kind of good fittings are going to have good golf balls there. They're going to have a individual that's interactive with you. Bad fittings is that they're going to not tell you what they're putting into your hands. You're getting fit well if somebody puts something in your hands and doesn't tell you what it is, because you may not need to know what you're hitting. Just let's find out if it has results. I think those are some things that kind of define what's good and what's bad about a fitting, but most of the times it's not a sales job. It is really, let's try and figure out what works for you. We're going to hand you your specs. A lot of times you pay for the fitting ahead, but we're going to hand you the specs, and the fitter's not making any money. The golf shop's the one that's making very small margins.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome.
Really good. Who you guys got this weekend at Pebble Beach?
Why not Scotty? I'm interested to see what Rory has in the tank. I think he's going to come out with a vengeance. We hadn't seen him much since the Ryder Cup. I think he's going to come out, and I think he might put a hurting on those folks. But that's a layup pick.
Yeah, it is, but it isn't. When you give Hakeem the ball, he's going to score. So it's just the way it works. And if he's defending, he's going to swat it away. But you have to go with Scheffler, or don't overlook Justin Rose, man. He's put one on the board already. The guy is got something going on. He played well at the end of last year too. Played well in the Ryder Cup. And Pebble Beach, you got to know that golf course in Spyglass. You got to know those courses. So I'd go for someone who kind of has been around the track a time or two. Those are the guys that I would look at. How about you, Aaron?
That was a great one. It's hard to not go with Scotty, but I'll ride the hot hand of Gotterup. He's just playing really good, and see if he can make a run at it again. He's a long ball hitter for sure. He's playing so good. But it's hard to not take Scotty. He knows that course very well, as you said, and plays it well. So he's 5-2 in Vegas for a reason. It's gonna be a fun weekend.
Back in the day, in the early time of the year, this was like 70s. I'm going way back, but Johnny Miller used to come out on fire. He played well in Hawaii. He played well in the desert, and then he'd come over to California and play really well as he was gearing up for the Masters. So, yeah, a guy who's won twice, I think that's a good bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be fun. Hopefully the weather cooperates and we get some great golf this weekend. The top 80 players in the world after it, including Rory McIlroy, and those Europeans are coming back for Pebble Beach this weekend. All right, guys, great stuff, Steve, on the fittings. Hopefully that's informative, and spread the word and get that going here winter into the spring. And looking forward to it. Hope your golf games are in good shape and getting in good shape. That's the 10th episode, guys. We're 9 in and make the turn and head down the back 9 of our Hot Golf podcast, the Heart of Texas and Golf in the Heart. If you have found this podcast on our YouTube page at 1027 ESPN and our digital channel there at 1027ESPN.com, please share it with a friend, send it on to another golf partner of yours and a buddy. Hopefully they'll enjoy it too, and we'll grow this thing. And as we said earlier, with our 10th episode, if you missed our previous interviews with Scotty Sayers and Omar Uresti and Rusty Uresti, Robbie Ormond, all the cool conversations from the 512. If I can find those and share those too. Had a golfer at Onion Creek stop the other day and say, hey, man, I saw your conversation with Robbie. It was awesome. So share those. Just send them along. It's so easy to do technology-wise now with a golf fan that you have. And that'll help this thing grow as we get into double digits, guys. Double digits for sure. Charley, Steve, any parting words on the way out here?
Thanks, guys. I'm enjoying the heck out of this.
It's a good time. I look forward to it.
Yep. All right, guys. Have a great week, and send it off to your friends, and we'll do episode 11.
All right, guys. Make your bunkers out there.
Y'all be safe.